the light travels through. The outside of the eye here is the sclera, right? It's usually white. It's a little discolored now. Attached to that are the extrinsic eye muscles that help to move the eye in its socket. Remember, there are 3 cranial nerves that control the extrinsic muscles of the eye. And then on the back side, you might be able to see this little nubbin right here is the ocular nerve. So that's the, which cranial nerve? 2. Optic nerve. Did I say ocular nerve? I made it up. That's the optic nerve. Okay, so now that we have the orientation of the eye, we want to go ahead and do a dissection. And so when we cut it, we want to do it like we're cutting through an avocado. We want to cut the peel but not cut the inside, because I want to leave the inside intact. So the first part is kind of dicey. You just want to make a puncture in there, realizing that it's a fluid-filled organ. So keep your mouth closed. Okay, so I punctured it. Once you do that, it's probably best to go get your iris scissors. Just insert it around there like that. And we're just going to cut around the circumference as much as we can. I'll just leave a flap connecting. Whoops. My lash goes over there. Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So what is this jelly-like stuff right here?
Is that the humor?
It's one of the humors. Which humor is it? Vitreous humor. Vitreous means thick, viscous. I like to think of them as like being as little lychee candies, right? Or you know, so it's like you know, okay. So we can pull this off, and see it's somewhat attached. So this occurs in what we call the posterior segment, posterior chamber of the eye, and then attached to it, what's that little thing in the center? No,
The cornea?
that's the lens.
The lens.
The cornea is on the outside. The lens right here, and be sure to feel it. It is hard. It is hard as a rock. And in part, that's because when we put that in the fixative, oh, I ruptured my thing. But when I put that in the fixative, it gets harder. But still, it's a semi-elastic thing in life. So here we can see that what was in front was the anterior segment of the eye, and there would be the iris, which restricts the pupil, which is right here. And then on the back side, this is part of our ciliary processes that generate some of that, the fluid, the aqueous humor. Now, if we go towards the back of the eye, we saw the vitreous humor that was holding everything against the sclera. This little sort of toilet paper-like layer right there, what do you think that is?
Ciliary body?
No, so that was a ciliary body.
Is that the conjunctiva?
No, this is the retina.
I was going to say that.
So see how it's like wet tissue paper? And it's very easy to detach there. And then look, it tends to bunch all up. And see this little circle there? Where it all seems to be running this way? And that's not the fovea. Good question. That's the optic disc. That's where the optic nerve comes out the back of the eye. And so we actually have no photoreceptors right there. And there's a neat little demonstration to do in your lab book to demonstrate there's no photos. Yeah, it's a blind spot. Now the fovea you may or may not be able to identify on there. Oftentimes I cannot, but it should be some spot off to the side in this area. But I'm not going to quiz you on that. Now, if I pull this material back, the black layer underneath the retina is called the what? Okay, it's part.
Sclera?
No, the sclera is the white. The black is part of our vascular tunic, and it's the choroid. The choroid contains what? The choroid contains what structures?
No, rods.
No. All those cones and rods are in this layer that I'm peeling off now, which is the retina. But in back of the retina, the choroid contains blood vessels. But the other thing that this choroid has, in addition to being black, is it's shiny, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the reason it's shiny is that sheep are somewhat, at least
That's
nocturnal or crepuscular animals. They're active in the late, evening when it's dark outside, and so
Look at a cat. It's like,
right. So they have that eye shine. So they have evolved to actually promote the reflectance back as light passes through the cornea, through the pupil, the lens, and so on. That it goes through the retina once, and then it bounces back through a second time. So it gives it maybe a less sharp of an image, but it does help it see in lower light levels. And that's why animals like dogs, cats, sheep, if you take a picture of them at night, you get that eye shine back. Whereas if I take a picture of your eyes, what does it look like? Red. hopefully it's not shiny. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, the redness is just the blood, right, being in there, so we can see. So we'll do an optic exam later on. But those are the major parts of the eye that you have to identify. So as long as you do a nice, clean dissection on there, you should be able